Welcome back. 21 million rands in 2021. A lofty goal for the Wits SRC as it tries to help over 8,000 students in dire financial need. But it's already on its way to reaching that goal. Students have raised about 4 million rands in just 2 months, and they're not waiting to reach a certain target before distributing the funds. They're making plans to allocate the money collected so far. The fundraiser comes at a time of continued protest against financial exclusion and access to higher education. We're going to have a chat now to Wits SRC President Mpendulo Mfeka. A very good morning to you, Mpendulo, and thank you so much for joining us. Of course, firstly, well done on getting the 4 million rands. I can imagine how many students will greatly benefit from that. But of course, I would imagine the fight still continues.
Yes, the fight does obviously still continue. What we're doing is an intervention strategy. The conversation must eventually go to its logical conclusion, that being free, quality, and decolonized education. But at the moment, I think most people would be aware, who are sitting at home, that we tried over the past 2 months raising money. We had a campaign entitled 21 million in 2021, and thus far we've only raised 4 million. And we feel it's unfair to the students who are going to benefit from this fund for us to wait until we've raised 21 million. So we'll start distributing the money, and there's a criteria which we've set out, and we've encouraged a number of Wits students to apply. Most have applied. We have about 200 applications at the moment, and we will continue to accept applications. But as of today, we will be distributing the money.
For those that may not understand why the campaign is 21 million rands for 2021, obviously there's that 2021 play on it, but is it a specific target? Is that the target that you are needing to ensure that you raise the money that's required?
So the target we need, the money we need is 40 million rands to ensure that everyone comes back into the system. But we had since bargained with the university to say, look, we will raise half of the 40 million rands, that being 20 million, and once we've raised half, we want the university to come up with the other half to ensure that students come back into the system. They need to play an active role. The sustainability of the university cannot be dependent on students alone. When the university loses postgraduate students, it's not only the students that fail, but it's the university in and of itself. So we're in a position of saying, look, 21 million, because the university will be raising the other half. And then they've conceded to that, and we will be submitting our money, and the students should be able to register. As it stands currently, we are currently under talks to say, look, we want to submit the 4 million as is, and they allow everyone to register, and they give us opportunity to try and cover everyone's debt as we try and continue to raise money throughout the year, and we take the conversation to its logical conclusion.
How confident do you think that will be something they agree to? Because obviously, I would imagine it wasn't an agreement that happened very instantly, that they would meet you halfway with the other 20 million. So how confident do you think they will come to the party with the 4 million you already have?
I must be honest, it's a pandemic. It's difficult, almost impossible to raise as high a target as we've set for ourselves. But we can't sit down and do nothing. And part of the reason we still hope to persuade management, it's because we're in a position where we think negotiations are still ongoing, and not only are negotiations are still ongoing, but when we had a deadlock last week, we had agreed that we will find an external mediator to our conversation, and the external mediator thus far has been the Portfolio Committee of Higher Education in Parliament, and they've been mediating conversation and talks between us and the Wits management. And through their mediation, we hope we can come to a fair solution to say, look, this 4 million rand can actually assist the number of students who have financial risk. And much later on, hopefully the SRC does raise money to cover up for those who can't pay for it at the moment.
Mpendulo, you rightly mentioned that we are in a pandemic, and it is incredibly difficult for anybody financially to get the kind of money that they would want, even if it wasn't 21 million. Something as simple as 5,000 rands is not very easy to get. So what have you guys had to do to ensure that in just 2 months you've made sure to get so much money?
So our campaign was quite structured, and by structured we have patrons in our campaign, and among our patrons we have Dr. Judy Dlamini, Mam Dlamini, and then we also have the former Deputy Chief Justice Tikhang Moseneke. We also have former Justice of the Concord, Richard Goldstone. Now all these three people who are patrons to our campaign previous chancellors and the current chancellor being Mam Dlamini, Dr. Mam Judy Dlamini, and they've helped us in a number of things. So when we wrote to sponsors or to potential sponsors or donors, we would run our letters past them before we could make a presentation to any corporate or to any NGO or religious organization. we would run our documents past them and they would okay them. But for the most part, it's been the much needed guidance from them and everyone else who's played a role in ensuring that the campaign gets where it does get. We haven't gotten there. It's a milestone to get there. It's 21 million.
Yeah.
So and it's a pandemic, so we will get there. But the point is no longer to save the student that is being excluded from Wits, but it's about the family in rural Sigi and townships or in Tanzania. When they get excluded, when a student gets excluded, it's the family there that is dependent on that student that gets excluded. So it's no longer about the students now, it's about their lives back at home.
Just quickly before I let you go, Mpendulo, it's been a 6-year fight that we've, of course, seen culminating now with the Wits SRC and the Wits student fight for registration. Is there any confidence from students, and I would imagine you speak on behalf of all institutions around the country, is there any confidence that this will come to an end, that students won't ever have to fight for their right to get into an education?
Perhaps I must cite one of our former statesmen. We've come too far. We cannot lose hope now. We've come too far. We've had lives that have been lost through this process. We've had people being jailed and losing their academic and professional careers. We've had people being suspended. We've had people being expelled. We've come too far to give up now. So as it regards hope, I don't think it should even be a question. We cannot lose hope now. And I know a number of SRCs and student bodies across the country are in a position to want to strengthen the fight and go forward. If we fail now, not only will we be failing ourselves, but we'll be failing generations to come after us.